everyone, Richard Carlton. Welcome to the awesome day of FileMaker training. I am super caffeinated. So today is a good day for you folks to ask open-ended questions. In the event that your questions get AI-ish, I'm gonna lean on Margaret to help me with that. If it's super crazy, we'll shelve it for later. If you got server questions, we have the super amazing Jacob Taylor who's here to backstop my my server questions and answers. However, as a 35-year developer, I know most of the important questions and answers. If I get nervous, that'll be Jacob's cool. If he asks me a question, I start going like this. Oh, like Rodney Dangerfield, I can get no respect, start sweating. That's Jacob's clue to jump in and to help save the conversation. So, but he is here. We have some canned questions already that came up on the internet recently for people who had problems in FileMaker. Today's a little bit kind of a Jeopardy flavor of stuff, so I'm going to move myself over here. Here are the topics for today. Unclean shutdown, okay? And these are all inspired by the questions that have come to us. So then we have some schema questions. We got monkey spread and Claris or Claris. So these are all the topics that we have for today. The next question. So new record via relationship. What about it? Hi all. I need some help with a script. I can figure out how to handle it. I don't understand that. If he can figure it out, then why do you ask the question? All right. I have two tables, a table A and B, customers, and ship to. Ship field, ship to, table B, ship to. When a user types a ship to location in the customer table, the record does not auto-populate. He writes this script, whatever. Let me see. So kind of weird. Because if they're writing this code down there, it's pretty sophisticated.
Wouldn't the answer be like a checkbox in the relationships dialog?
Well, here's the deal, if it can. So if I go to relationships in here real quick. So this is a sample file that we're just playing with, but here's the deal. If I am over in contacts and here's this table over here, say it's ship to or whatever. If I'm over here and there's this underscore, this is the field on one side, the field on the other side, ID under contact, link, whatever, you double click this. Say you have a text field here, number field over here. I'll move myself out of the way. You can say allow creation of related records in this table on this side. That is if it can, if it makes sense. So, if you turn this on over here and you have a value over here, and the field over here can be populated like it's something you can click into. It's not a calc field or a summary field or something like that. If you type into the field on this, the other part, there's two parts. There's a couple parts of this. I'm trying to explain this cold. The relationship has to be valid, one. Two, if the relationship is over here, but the value, there's nothing over here with the value, can it populate into there? Okay, so this is the there's two parts of this. One, the thing that triggers it, and the other part, FileMaker immediately checks to see if it can actually do it. So what you have to do is you have to take a field on the child side, bring it to the layout on the parent. That's a super important thing. So you're not typing into a field over here, you're bringing a field over here through a relationship or portal, putting on the layout. So you click in there and you start typing. FileMaker is going to say, does this have a value in it? Okay. Is this a relationship seem to be valid? And can I put data over here? Can I forcibly stick data in there? Okay. And if the answer is yes to those things, then it checks to see if there's an allow over here. It's turned on right here. So if that's valid, if the relationship makes sense to it, if this field can be, FileMaker can shove stuff in there, because there's reasons it couldn't, right? If it can do all those things and this is checked, then it's going to create the record here and the data that you typed into the field that's over here. So odds are either that the person had a field over here, and it sounds like the field's identical, right? So if I move this over here, it sounds, I have a ship to field that belongs to customers. I have a ship to field that belongs in table B. Those are totally different fields. Typing into a field over here that belongs to this table will not automatically force anything to happen across the other side. For FileMaker to force the creation of a record on this side, it must need it, right? If you have name over here and name over here and they're separate fields, okay? If I type something over here, does it need anything over here? No.
So it won't force a record creation. Okay.
But if the field is only over here and you brought it through, you brought over on the layout through a relationship, you're going to type stuff in there, and either before you type or after you type the stuff in, FileMaker, depending upon a couple things, it's going to go to the other side and attempt to build. It's going to attempt to build the record for you and stick the data in there. Okay, so. But the rub here is that there's this concept that, well, it's two separate fields, and they're no way in any way going to auto-populate. If you have this over here, one of the things you want to think about is having a script trigger. So when you type it on one side and you exit the field, then it goes, hey, we have the script that's going to like move it over there if we can, and do some logic in the script if we can. So when a user types in a shift to look, it does not exist in a I want the record to be created. Okay, well, you either got to restructure it or script it, because nothing in this design. You have two separate fields. They're not the same field, at least per this right here. It doesn't look like to be the same field. There's nothing going to force the creation of the related record. I want the record to be created automatically in the ship table. Yeah. So you'd have to define this field here and drag it over to this layout over here. And I see things clicking over here. So Margaret, I know you wanted to say something, so.
No, I processed it. I was just going to say that the easy answer to this would just make so table B ship to is a related field on table A, right? So there's only one ship to field.
Well, it's not a related field in table A. It's a related field on the layout that belongs to table A. So I'm being technically snicky with you, but
yes,
words matter sometimes. Okay. Any questions on this one? So then the person's what this is what I have. I have two issues. One's executed, it locks the layout. And yeah, I'm not sure why. And if the location exists in a second table, it creates a blank record what I'm doing wrong. So just looking at their script, once again, this person's trying to do some very fancy schmancy stuff. I'm thinking they're an SQL person. They don't understand how FileMaker works. But I don't think SQL would do this anyway. Once again, I think there's a disconnect in the fact that they have two fields and there's no impetus. There's no reason that FileMaker would take data out of one and shove it in the other one. That doesn't, so either you have to drag it on the layout or you have to write a script that's going to just forcibly populate it and take care of it. If the location exists, that creates a blank record. Yeah, so I'm not sure what the person's doing. Once again, perform find. If you look at this down here in the bottom, I don't know if you folks can see this down here. Can I? If you want tech support help from someone, don't write your code this way. Perform a find and restore hidden results. In here is the perform find request, a bunch of whatever where they're doing a find. Not sure how that happened. What field's in there? I cannot in any way pass judgment upon that because I can't see it. It's suppressed. And then there's also the perform find. So it's inner find mode. Put the stuff in there, perform the find, hidden. So if you want tech support help from someone else, don't do it this way. So I can read the code. Down here, I can read it. If the found count 0, go to layout. So this is where, okay, so this is really strange. So did they say that they were going to have it do it automatically? Because this right here looks like the script that you would attach to the trigger, Margaret.
They wanted an automatic one, yes. That was part of their...
Yeah, but automatic, it's like saying David Angel says I want $1 million. He wasn't specific. It's like the old jokes where you get 3 wishes from your genie, you rub the lamp, you get 3 wishes, and people want to say, I want to be famous and rich. What was that one movie? God, it had Brandon Fraser in it years ago, and the genie, being an genie, made him the most successful drug lord in Colombia, and everyone's trying to kill him. So you want to be rich and famous and safe and secure, but he left that out of the conversation, right? So this is where, we need more data. So enter found count, right? Like what's your 3 wishes? I want to get, so if they found count 0, then you're going to go to the other layout. I'm assuming, Margaret, is that what this is? We're going to go to the other layout, customer delivery location, new record. Go to layout, original. By the way, original is the original beginning of the script. You can lose track of that real easy. I suggest you be specific. He sets it then he's
He's
trying
not
to
set.
set it.
He's not setting any of the ship to stuff
Well, you set it
properly.
up here, but he's setting it out of Sage is a big SQL pre-built system. I don't know, it runs on AS400 or some big systems. So I think this is close. So he sets the value here. He sets the value here. So those are populated. He performs a find that does whatever the hell. If the find fails, I think his problem's in here, but I can't diagnose it, or her problem, okay? Go to the layout, create a record, fine. Then jump back to the original layout and set
They're going back to the wrong layout because they're going back to the layout they got the information from.
and they're trying to shove it through the relationship. Oh, okay, so back up. So yeah, this is all janky. So listen, if you want to, okay, so let's back up. If you want to script a trigger, let's talk about how you would write this correctly. This person's really, I wish they were actually here because we could help them. Maybe they had, how old is this question, Margaret? Do you remember how old this one is?
I'd have to go look at the link.
Doesn't matter, but this is a really good one. So they are like 75% of the way here. The problem is a couple things. One, capture data, great. Error capture on, fine. Perform fine, build this out, don't be lazy, okay? So we can see it. And you can see it in 6 months or a year or two when you come back because it doesn't work. Found count 0, okay, they're checking for I don't even know what this find does.
I think they're trying to see if the record already exists, like if the location for.
But they'd have to go there. They're on, because they're starting on, I'm assuming they're starting on table A. When a user types this, on the customer table, okay, so they type crap in, then they run the trigger. So here's one of those deals, super important documentation. When you document your scripts, once again, if I'm having problems, that means you're gonna have problems. That means people coming, like if I'm hired to come behind this person, I have no idea what the assumptions are. The assumptions say, we assume you're on this layout, or you forcibly put it there already. But if it's a trigger that fires off of a condition on a layout, you're gonna say, assuming that we're on this layout, assuming we're at this field, and this is the situation, this is what we're going to do. That's like 2 or 3, 4 lines that are really helpful. Okay. I'm assuming the person is on the customer layout, not the shipping record on the other table. So they capture, they perform a find. They're not in the right table to perform a find. Start with that. That is happening in the wrong location. They have to go, right here should be, a script 8.5 should be, go to the other layout, the shipping layout, then perform the find, then do this, okay? And I don't know why we're change, because we should already be there. This, go to layout right here, this one should be up there. So we're if found count 0, create a new record. Then what you had to do up here at the top was capture the primary key that you might need. You need the third piece of data. Because over here, you're creating a record, but remember the bridge metaphor? Over here is the customer, the person. This is their shipping record. So we put the data in here, and it script fires, it jumps us over here, should perform the find. If it doesn't find it, it has to create a record that connects. What do you need the record to connect? You had to copy the key over here before you jump. So you copy the 2 fields that they wanted plus the primary key, variable, Sage customer ID. So they have the customer ID here, fine. So they captured the delivery location, the customer ID. So they come over here, but they had to be on the layout here, perform the find, 0 records, create a new record, paste in the customer ID. But see, they jumped right here. Yeah, so this is a fundamental. If you're already where you're supposed to be, finish your job, right? They should jump to the child table, perform a find. If it's not there, create the new record, then set the 2 fields while you're there. But they're jumping back and trying to drive it to the relationship. You didn't put anything there in the first place. You created a blank record with no data other than whatever auto enters in there. There's no data in there. So you come back and it's like, hey, I want to post through the relationship. It's like these videos where people driving off the bridge into the water, right? The relationship's not set. So if you push data through there, into the water. That, Margaret, you making sense what we're doing here? You've had to, this line of code right here, I can't, you see my mouse moving?
Yes,
that
I
that
see,
one right there, had to
That's
be
a-
up here.
Yes.
And then when you're done with all this down here, you can commit it, but then you need to go back. So this is really close, but understanding they built a record, but the record's not connected. And then they're wondering why the record's not connected. Okay, cool. All right.
Yes.
All
There
right.
we go.
There we go. That was that question.
We're going to wrap up the stream, everybody. We hope you've had a good one. Q&As are fun.
All right,
Thank
everyone.
you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.